Right, so we are on Sunday the 7th, yeah, and today's a very cold turn in the weather. We're waiting for snow to come in, and it's very, very windy outside. Yesterday we went to the allotment, which we've had for a year now. I think it's a year.
Yeah, just
First, we took it on as a bit of an experiment, really. Neither of us had done vegetable gardening before, and both come from families who had. So this was a first for us. So we took on a full allotment that hadn't been used in 18 months. And this coincided with the first lockdown. So we spent a lot of time there in the first lockdown and preparing the ground, and we learnt an awful lot. So we really have used it to learn as much as we could about raising our own vegetables from seed. We put up a polytunnel. We weeded. When we took it on, it was 6 feet high with nettles. So we learned that you can't just weed killer nettles. It was tried. It didn't work. We had to dig all the ground up, get all the roots out. You put in lots of raised beds.
Yeah.
We put up fruit cages. So it ended up being very, very productive. We put a lot of effort into it. Had a few disasters, as everybody does. For some reason our carrots came out circular with lots of little tiny roots on them rather than one, and apparently that's to do with the soil is too rich for it, so it just goes off in all directions rather than going down to get your nice long carrots. But things like that you don't know until you start growing things. When we started there, we uncovered all sorts of things. There was so much debris and junk, so we had a huge pile of that which never was disposed of because the council was taking responsibility for disposal and never got round to it. So that's still there. But we dug up, there were 2 ponds there, weren't there?
Yeah,
2 ponds.
2 ponds.
And when we moved the sheds, there were 2 enormous rat nests there that we had to dig out. And the rats had actually collected polythene from goodness knows where, all around the village, I imagine. But any polythene, like the bags for bread, that sort of thing, sandwich bag, sort of polythene, fine polythene, carrier bag stuff, they just shredded it, filled all the nest up with it. So all the tunnels of their nest were full of chewed up polythene. So there were dustbin bags of that I dug up. So we did put a lot of effort into it, and as I say, it was very productive. And a lot of things we didn't even eat. You turn your back on a courgette plant and the courgettes are suddenly marrows. And we'd put 6 plants in, hadn't we?
Yeah, with marrows.
So we had so much. So what we'd done is we set up a small table on the end of our drive, and we just put all our produce on that, and people took it as they wanted it. So it did all get used and not wasted. So yesterday the plan was to go to the allotment and empty the sheds. So you hooked up.
Put the trailer on and off we went.
Yeah, but the roads are so wet.
Yeah.
We've had so much torrential rain here. There's nowhere for it to go any longer. Everywhere's absolutely saturated. There was standing water across the fields. The lanes were full of water. It was very, very wet. And where we have the allotment, there must be the access lane must be about half a mile long and unmade up. So we got truly
It was a bit
stuck.
slippy. Reversing the trailer around, we did get a little stuck, but we got out. We managed it.
I dragged some old carpet and
under
weed
the
suppressant put under the wheels because it was just burying itself in this very soft soil, and you had to manoeuvre the trailer to get it into the right place for us to actually load it from the sheds. And then the second problem was one of the locks on the shed has seized up. So we need to go back and saw that off to get access to the shed. So we emptied one.
We emptied one shed.
So we got all the hand tools and found lawnmower that we'd forgotten we had.
Oh, yes.
So we've got an actual proper sized lawnmower. I mean, we bought the what do you call the tractor that you bought?
Tractor.
But it's a certain size one, isn't it? It's not like a big tractor. It's a compact tractor. And it has a mowing deck underneath it, so that you can just drive it around and mow all the grass, because we got acres of grass. We thought that was the best way of doing it, because the front lawn is like
about an acre,
and we want at one field to full glamping, so we needed something substantial to mow with, so that's why we bought that. But we have now got an ordinary mower, good one.
Yeah.
So that's going to be useful too for doing all the edges and little bits and what have you, because we'd completely forgotten we had that. We haven't been to the allotment for such a long time.
No.
The other good thing that came out of that was the fact that we saw one of the other allotment people there who was going up to feed his chickens, and told him the tale of us moving and taking as much as we can from the allotment, but there's a lot of wood there. We spent a fortune setting it up. We've got raised beds, as I say, we've got a polytunnel, we've got cages and things, and water, big, what do you call the water? IBC water storage. So there's lots up there that we put in, and so we said to him, once we've gone, I mean, removals are on Friday and we're now on Sunday. We'll be travelling next Sunday, so a week today. If there's anything left there when we go, he's welcome to take it, but he actually might just take the whole allotment on, because we have set it up to be very, very efficient.
Yeah.
And it isn't lost information. It's all, we're going to use that again. We want to set up a potager. So we have looked at aerial photographs of where we've bought, and more or less planned out what we want to do with the land. So there is an area we want to make into almost a walled garden. It won't have walls. We'll have to have some other way of securing it to keep the rabbits out and everything else that will want to eat everything. I think there's rabbits, there's
deer, and wild boar.
So and we think there's something there was something swimming in one of the ponds when we were there, so we're not sure whether what that was. We took some footage of it. It's bigger than rats.
Don't know what it is.
It could be koi poo, could be mink. It's the other thing, they get quite a lot there, but yes, there was something swimming around in one of the ponds. Yes, so we were sort of doing that side yesterday. So we have a trailer full of stuff we have to get in today and get it all cleaned and scrubbed, because we can't have soil on anything. So we have about half a dozen water carriers. We have all the tools to sort out. At the moment, out of the 3 rooms we're living in, one is a wet room, and that's become so useful for scrubbing things down. At the moment we have the fridge in there, so from our little kitchenette we've put the fridge in overnight in the wet room, so that we can just drain all the water. It was so iced up. The little ice box in the top was sorry, I'm wobbling here. The ice box in the top was absolutely solid top to bottom, so we put it in there to defrost overnight. So that's done. Something less for next weekend. And today the weather is turning bitterly, bitterly cold, and once we've cleaned everything from the allotment, we need to empty the sheds.
Yeah, shed and the beach hut.
Yeah,
that's the next job on the list.
So that's a case of labelling. We've got to check what's in the boxes, and we need to label it, and we've got to make a decision about how much we're going to repack, or what we're going to say is new, because customs want to know anything that's been bought in 6 months or 12 months.
12 months.
Last 12 months. Anything that you bought in the last 12 months, you're supposed to list and pay extra duty on it. So you then have to make the decision on how much you're going to put on that list, and how much duty you're prepared to pay. Is it worth it at the end of the day? because I presume it's going to be 20%
Yeah.
of the value. So that's something that came in since January the 1st. So I think that covers us for today, what we're up to.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another busy day. We're carrying a few injuries now, but it'll get better.
We'll get there.
We'll get there in the end. Okay. Speak again tomorrow.